everybody, and welcome to Monday Morning Must Knows. My name is Merlin Rothfeld, and got to wipe your sweat from your brow after that month of March. Ugly, really ugly. We had a decent January, an okay February, and then March just said, here, hold my beer, and erased all of those gains. Now, we were positive going into the month of March. All of a sudden, we are looking at a tail-end sell-off here that's been extremely aggressive, putting us down to the tune of about 5% for the year for the S&P. Now, barring an unbelievable Monday morning trading session, probably going to have a pretty ugly month of March. So what's causing all this? What are the pieces that are driving this market lower and, in my opinion, are going to continue to drive this market lower? That is tariffs. So let's dive into the first topic du jour. The tariff wars, tariff talks. What are all these tariffs being imposed? You guys, as Trading Academy graduates, you understand markets hate uncertainty. So what is that uncertainty? Well, let's dive into a little bit of that here. Let's look at some of the tariffs that may be implemented starting on Wednesday, April 2nd, Trump is due to announce. And what are some of those tariffs? First and foremost, 25% tariff on foreign-made cars and light trucks. Then you move on to 25% tariff on countries buying Venezuelan oil. I thought that was kind of interesting, saying, look, if you buy oil from Venezuela, we're going to tax you 25% or tariff you 25%. Wow. Really? We didn't really have anything to do there. We're just pressuring and bullying the world here with that tariff. All right, what else do we have? Let's go to 25% agricultural imports. Now, we don't know exactly which agricultural imports will be tariffed here, but that is the talk track. And then we have reciprocal tariffs on China, the EU, Canada, Mexico, India, Japan, South Korea, Brazil. Let's just face it, we're putting reciprocal tariffs on pretty much anybody on earth that is taxing or tariffing U.S. products. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Time will tell, and the markets will dictate what the reaction is. Now, we keep on moving down the list. You have potential tariffs on things like lumber and copper and pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. The bottom line is we just don't know what's going to happen in these markets. And for that reason, we've seen significant sell-offs in the S&P, the NASDAQ, the Russell, the Dow, all of which showing some pain, certainly over the last week. And again, we have one more trading session on Monday, and then hopefully we get into an April that's just a little bit better. Now, what other things are happening this week? Well, let's dive into rate announcements. We have one rate announcement for the Southern Hemisphere. That's going to be the Reserve Bank of Australia. Right now, the expectation is that they're going to come out right at the same number, 4.1%. That's going to happen Monday at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, as usual, that is going to be kind of baked into the price of the Australian dollar, but what is of interest will be the press conference that happens 1 hour after. That's actually going to be Tuesday morning, just after the stroke of midnight at 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We will get the press conference from the Reserve Bank of Australia, and that should give some clarity as to what exactly the voting members were thinking with regards to rates and the impacts on their economy, inflation, unemployment, growth, etc. So for anyone trading that Australian dollar, very important day. That will be late on Monday evening. Now let's bring it back to the U.S. Of course, as of last Friday, we saw a pretty surprising core PCE price index number, which said higher inflation. We're supposed to be 0.3 and stay the same. Came out at 0.4. Remember, if you annualize 0.4, that ends up being a 4.8% inflation rate, clearly above what the Fed wants, which means they probably will put their rate cuts on hold. I'm a believer that rate cuts will not happen for the remainder of this year. Maybe one, but pretty sure we're not going to see any. And if you follow Bill Addis of the bond class at Trading Academy, one of the best focus classes we have, he is of the opinion we may actually see rate increases this year. Right now, if you poll money managers, not one is saying rate increases here, but Bill Addis, sharp mind in bonds, probably the sharpest person I know in bonds, is saying we might actually see increases, and I'm starting to think that he's right. All right, let's move back to the U.S. here and look at our data. The unemployment numbers, the jobs data is obviously going to be a driver of our markets as to where we're going to go. Let's dive into what those are. First and foremost, on Tuesday at 10 a.m., you have the JOLTS job openings. All of these are going to be Eastern time, by the way. On Wednesday, we get the ADP non-farm employment change. That's the second most important number of the week. That'll be at 8:15 a.m. on Wednesday. Then you get the unemployment claims as usual on Thursday at 8:30. And the double whammy, the unemployment rate and non-farm employment change happening Friday at 8:30 a.m. Right now, expectations are that that unemployment number is going to stay the same, right where it's at. Remember, we've seen a lot of government layoffs, and now there's talk about the private sector starting to do more and more layoffs as well. So I think we'll probably come out in line with expectations on the unemployment rate. The big question is what happens in 2, 3, 4, 5 months down the road as we have time for these layoffs to hit our bottom line data. So going to be a wild trading week. The big stuff, of course, is going to be on Wednesday when Trump makes his announcements on the tariffs. Personal suggestion here is probably to lighten up your load here if you are going to be a long-term swing investor. Be careful out there because the whipsaw action is going to be very dangerous. May create some great opportunities for you day traders out there, but just be careful. After Wednesday, we'll get some clarity from the markets. That, my friends, is your Monday Morning Must Knows. We'll see you next week.